Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here. I'm also, I guess, the youngest speaker, so I don't have loads of experience. It's just been 5 years of my journey into the sector. So my presentation, as I was trying to put together, I thought I'll just put together in terms of a summary of my learning journey and would like to share how has it been. So basically, I think the way we've taught to learn in our schools and in the education setup that we have, we go to a school, to college, somebody teaches you, we don't question a lot of things, and we look things with one lens. And I think I'm saying so because in 2006, when I came to Delhi from Lucknow to pursue my mathematics honors, I was very clear. You know, there was a movie that time launched called as Thank You for Smoking, and I wanted to be a lobbyist, so I was very clear about this. I'm doing a mathematics honors, go to MBA college and become a lobbyist, and that's it. You know, the life is all set. And I didn't get into any reflection, introspection. It was very clear. The first year of college, in the summer vacations, we basically, all friends, I was living in a hostel, so we decided to work in a call center. We basically lied to them and saying, you know, we were preparing for engineering, not got selected anywhere, so now looking for a job, just to have fun. So our parents came to know about it and they were very clear that next year, you're coming home. And the biggest question was, for 2 months in Lucknow, what do you do? You know, because there's nothing else to do. So we were looking into, you know, how to escape the so-called torture of being at home. And I think that's where and I still remember, considering that, oh, summer vacation starting, what to do. I saw a notice on my college notice board. There's a fellowship program called the India Fellowship Program, and it says 6 weeks to a rural trip, and I was like, oh, that's it, let's apply. So applied for it, luckily got through it, and I was sent to Uttarakhand in a district called as Pithoragarh in a village called as Baligaon. I think one of the most interesting thing of that scholarship, which is still one of the greatest learning for me, is I asked them 10 times, what is the objective? What do you want me to do there in 6 weeks? They said, nothing. It's like, okay. We went there and they said, oh, then finally we posed, they said, somebody will tell you what to do there. We reached the village and I still remember 20 hours of being in a public bus, and then somebody tells you, 5 kilometers chale jaiye, wahan gaon hai. And then you walk with your rucksack and you reach there, and the first curiosity is, what am I supposed to do here? Am I working in a school? I'm doing something in the village. They're saying, oh, we'll try to figure that out. You know, it's like, and I think what I loved about that NGO was basically, for them, you know, we had this whole thing. I come from Delhi, I'm from Delhi University, I'll go and change something. For them, typically we were a burden who've been sent and, you know, they have to entertain us. So for 3-4 days we were roaming around, and then finally I started working in a government school. So I think that's the reason I put down a slide. A summer vacation basically made my whole life a vacation. I think I enjoy every day what I do. So I worked there for about 6 weeks in a government school in the village, answering, and that is where my journey started, of asking a lot of questions to myself. That was very easy for me sitting that side. I was a part of the debating team in DU to say, you know, the education system, the government is not doing its job and the schools are not functioning. When I'm standing in a government school and seeing one poor fellow teacher with 100 kids in 6 grades, I have no idea what he's going to teach. I would for sure get crazy. So I was helping him out, and I was literally getting crazy with 2 people now, and I'm saying, how is it managed? So very easy to look at one lens and criticize it, but what can we do? So then I started interacting a bit with the young people in the village and realized that they were very keen in doing something about it. So with that idea, I basically came back to my hostel, and I started talking to my other friends and saying, you know, this is there. I started volunteering with a lot of NGOs, looking into programs. Typical way, you know, DU mein zyada padhai to hoti nahi hai, so for most of the time we used to just go and see, volunteer kar lo, kuch kar lo, just to explore the entire thing. So this is exploring spaces to learn, unlearn and relearn. So I started traveling a lot, volunteering with NGOs to try to understand, what do I really want to do? You know, why, when one part of my head is asking so many questions, so can I do something about the question, and what will excite me? And I said yes to a lot of things actually. Said, let me try to do this, and you know, when you look into from a lens that you want to solve a problem, then everything is a problem. And I think that's a question, then you come back to yourself and ask, what problem do you want to solve? Because, you know, I used to go to an old age to volunteer and I was like, oh, this is a big problem. Then I go to a rural area, health is a problem. Then I go to a women, something is a problem. So I don't know what problem it is. And I think that is where I met somebody who basically quoted this, and I think this is one of a line that I'm still following and everything. Never say yes to something you can't say no to.
Yeah.
You know, so a lot of time we get excited and we're standing there and we said, yes, you know, let's just do it. But then, connecting to the larger goal, what am I doing it for? And then you say no. If you can say no to it, please go ahead and say yes to it. And I have not only, you know, implemented this in terms of my journey of saying yes to funders, saying yes to co-founders, and then standing at a point where I say no to them. I have taken their money, I don't like them, what to do? I still have to retain them, right? So, and I think this is followed, and that is where my first venture was born, which is Milan. So Milan was a non-profit organization. It's a non-profit organization. Was started in 2007 by 4 Delhi University students in their second year of college. And frankly speaking, we didn't even know what NGO was. So when somebody wanted to help us out and said, you need a society, it's like, okay, what is a society? We figured something out. So Milan is a combination of two words. One is Milan and second is Elan. So it was basically a union of young people coming together for a declaration of change. And we said change will only come when the young people at the grassroots will start taking ownership of the social transformation. And we need to work with them. We need to support them. We need to, you know, literally be the fuel in their car if they want to do something. So Milan, our first project started in Sitapur, Uttar Pradesh, where we saw a young group basically teaching about 10 children, and I'm quoting the story so that you can see the change. Studying 10 children, I asked them why they're doing it. They were grade 12 pass. There was no senior secondary school in their school. And so we said, okay, let's just try to help them out. So we held them out. The community got so excited and they were surprised that we had not taken their permission, that there was a Mahapanchayat happening where they picked up the issue. And I was called. They gave us about an acre of land and said, we don't have a senior secondary school, can you build one? And frankly speaking, I had no idea what a senior secondary school means. I went to the architect to ask, I want to make a 2,000 kids school, and he asked why. I said, because at the school I went to had 2,000 kids. You know, so to that level of literally ignorance, we started the journey. Every day has been a learning. Today we have an acre of land with about 20,000 square feet of construction, about 500 kids who go there and study. We've taken the same model into various other programs in Hardoi, in Bahraich. And I think this is something I wanted to emphasize, that in my journey of Milan, I'm still the president of the board, but I moved to Azadi. So for 5 years of journey, there was a time when we, you know, all university student friends came together and started it. But there was a time when I realized we were 4 co-founders. This was not what people wanted to do. You know, it is a different ball game altogether when you know, it's a different between you want to date someone, but you want to marry someone. So when, you know, it was happy dating, but when it comes to the graduation is over and you start looking into, do you want to marry it, people wanted to see something else. And we were in a situation where we didn't know the NGO sector, we didn't know what funding agencies mean. We had a project which was doing pretty well, the community has hope for us, and I just don't know what to do. And frankly speaking, there was a time I also gave up, and so these 3 people move out, and I was all left alone and I don't know what to do, and I'm still trying to put things together, and I said, okay, the funding is about 3 to 4 lakhs, let me try to raise something and do something. And at that moment of time, I also my father forced me to appear for a CAT exam, and when I scored, I think decently well, my mother was like, this is the destiny. So I enrolled in an MBA college, but Milan was always in the back of my head, so I did it for about 4 months and realized I can't do it. So I dropped out my MBA. And I think that is, for the entire 4 months, I realized one thing, that you yourself is your best friend and your worst enemy.
Sure.
You know, it took me a lot of time to pull back that energy and saying, I left something behind, I have to go back and build it and do it. And I think it was I as an individual who at times also thought that people left me because there's something wrong in me and there's something wrong with what I do. But that's, you know, what you believe in. And that is why I'm using a lot of colors here, because I think, and this idea of using colors also came because when I was reading just randomly something on internet, there was an article on color vision which says, actually there is nothing called as color, it is how the organisms eye reflect, emit and transmit light. And I was like, if you just take that theory and take light as information or knowledge and see how do we use it for our own lives, we can make it more colorful. So I think that's the second learning I wanted to share. From there we moved to Azadi, which is now where I'm a co-founder and the CEO. How did Azadi started? So in Milan, there were 2-3 things that happened. We started a girl child education program because there was a lot of girls drop out, called a Sobiman, to get them back into school and make sure they clear class 10th. Even after supporting them with free food, uniform, books, convincing the parents, seeing a lot of excitement from the parents and the girls, almost for every 5 to 7 days a month, they will not come to school. And for me, you're like 23, you don't know what it is. So when we force our teachers to ask what's happening, they said they've become women, and I was like, what does it mean? And we came to know that, I learned basically that they're menstruating and they don't have an access to any hygienic products to solve that problem, and that's why they're not coming to school. And this just was on the back of my mind, and suddenly I started reading more and more and more about it, and I think it came to a story that about 300 million women in rural India actually don't use sanitary pads, and they don't have an access to safe and hygienic solutions. So, and they're hampering their lives, they're hampering employment, they're hampering education, and the question comes is, what are we doing about it? The answer is, very limited. We spoke to big companies, they said, oh, urban market is a big enough market for us to even look into rural market. And that is where the idea of Azadi pads was basically born. Second thing is, when I was looking into finding a solution to this problem, I was very clear that this solution will not be the non-profit way. Because I have seen that in Milan, and I have tested that. I think what Anupam said, even Kuber comes, 80% of my time was going to raising money, requesting people, asking for donations, and still I'm not meeting my fundraising goals and I can't expand. I'm standing in a village where I know 3,000 children don't go to school, but I can still work with about 500 kids. For every project that we started midday meal program, and I still remember, I was talking to somebody, he said, make sure that you don't say no to a child because you don't have food to feed him. Because he comes here for education, not for food. So when I was working on an idea for Azadi, I was very clear about the fact it cannot go the non-profit way. There has to be a sustainable, financially viable and scalable solution for it. So there where we basically designed our first product, which is called as Azadi pads. It's a 20 rupees packet of 8 pads, which is ultra thin. Is Hindi. We're working in Bahraich. That's where it started. And the way we work is that we're targeting about 800 villages. In every village, we identify a female entrepreneur who basically identify products which women need and then supply the product. So we started with sanitary pads, but one of the biggest learning was that the money had to make sense for the women entrepreneur to be in the business. So, and only selling pads will not help her. And then they start coming us with more ideas like pregnancy tests, contraceptives, even lipstick, nail polish. We were like, oh, we're not selling lipstick and nail polish. And then the larger question came in is like, why not? So over a period of about a year, Azadi is about a year old now. In a period, we basically are alternate retail channel, which is women-led, which have products what women needs and products which speaks to aspirations of women. And we're very clear about it. Every product that goes into this channel has to be, something that the women have demanded for literally. It is not the push model, it is a pull model, and the quality of it has to be really good. So, for example, for lipstick and nail polish, when they were asking for it, we had so many manufacturers who came to us with proposals. The profit margins was really good. I can't even imagine there was so much of profit margins actually. And then at the end of the day, we decided to go for a company called as Color Life, which is a very branded product. In the market, I think it's about a 55 rupees product, and for us it comes to our women entrepreneurs buy it for about 20 rupees. So we negotiate with them to kind of give them. So we're currently working in Bahraich, in Uttar Pradesh. Bahraich is one of the poorest districts in the country according to the Planning Commission. We are targeting about 100 villages. And I think one of the major learnings from this journey of Azadi has been, if you want to live, they don't want to survive. When I started working on the pads idea, the first thing which all secondary research and most of the people who came to us said, people in rural specific, they need something really simple yet affordable. So we designed a very simple sanitary pad, which is a normal sanitary pad, and we supplied to them. And the moment it went in the market, the same women which a lot of secondary research claimed didn't know anything about sanitary pads start asking about questions of what is this? This is too bulky. You know, there is ultra thin. Can you do something about this? There's no wings. And I realized that they have aspirations which we need to speak to. We need to speak to these aspirations and have products we're going to speak to them. So simple logic, if we want to live, if our aspirations have value in life, they don't want to survive. So if you want to be in the market, let's be very clear, every product that we put in has to be qualitative, has to speak to their aspirations. And I think that's been basically a journey, and the journey is still on. So I'm still learning how to learn better. Thank you so much.